What if the fear of failure wasn't just a feeling, but a survival circuit so ancient that your brain treats a bad grade like a predator attack? Imagine your ancestor, 200,000 years ago on the Savanna. They try a new hunting strategy and fail. That failure isn't just embarrassing. In their world, losing status means exile from the tribe. And in 95% of ancestral environments, exile meant death within weeks. No shelter, no protection, no food sharing. Your modern brain still carries that software. I am your host, and this is Anatomy of Fear. Today, we are dissecting why your prefrontal cortex might be mistaking your fear of a work presentation with the threat of being cast out to die alone. Welcome to the origins of Atychiphobia, the pathological fear of failure. But today, we are not just talking about fear. We are dissecting the 200,000-year-old program running in your medial prefrontal cortex, or mPFC, a region so central to your identity that when it predicts failure, it can literally shut down your ability to move forward. In the next 18 minutes, you will understand why your brain conflates a failed exam with social death, why perfectionism is actually an ancient safety behavior, and most importantly, how to update this prehistoric code. Recent fMRI meta-analyses from the Max Planck Institute in 2026 have quantified this neural overlap. When subjects anticipated social judgment or professional failure, their mPFC and dACC showed a 51% overlap in activation patterns compared to when they anticipated physical pain. Your brain, quite literally, cannot tell the difference between a broken bone and a broken dream at the moment of anticipation. This is not a metaphor, this is a neural circuit. In the first few minutes of this video, we need to establish what Atychiphobia actually looks like in the modern brain. It is not just sadness after a loss, it is the paralysis before the attempt. It is the procrastination that feels like laziness, but is actually a sophisticated defense mechanism designed by evolution to protect your status within the tribe. If you do not try, you cannot fail, and if you cannot fail, you cannot be exiled. This logic, while destructive in a modern context, is perfectly rational to your ancient limbic system. So how does this manifest in your daily life? It shows up in three primary symptoms, each one a direct echo of that ancestral threat detection system. First, there is paralysis. You sit down to work, and suddenly you are cleaning your desk, checking your phone, doing anything except the task that carries the potential for failure. Your mPFC, sensing a threat to your social standing, is activating your sympathetic nervous system, flooding you with cortisol and adrenaline. You are not lazy, you are preparing for a saber-toothed tiger. But the tiger is a blank page. Second, there is perfectionism. This is not a quest for excellence, this is a safety behavior. You tell yourself, I just need to prepare a little more, read one more book, wait for the perfect moment. In ancestral terms, this is equivalent to waiting until you are absolutely certain the watering hole is safe before approaching. The problem is, the watering hole of modern opportunity does not wait. And third, there is avoidance of challenge. You protect your self-worth by not engaging. If you never enter the competition, you never lose. If you never ask for the promotion, you are not rejected. If you never start the business, it cannot fail. This is your ancient brain trading long-term growth for short-term safety. Look at the comments below in the next few minutes. You will see thousands of people identifying with one, two, or all three of these symptoms. This is not a coincidence. This is a universal human pattern. The University of California, Berkeley, published a study in 2025 examining the social hierarchies of 47 different hunter-gatherer societies. They found a consistent correlation. Individuals who experienced a significant loss of status, whether through a failed hunt, a social misstep, or a public mistake, had a 40% higher mortality rate in the following year. Not because they were killed directly, but because they were pushed to the margins. They received less food, less protection, and fewer opportunities to mate. Your brain is not overreacting to failure. It is correctly identifying a threat that for 99% of human history was a matter of life and death. The specific region responsible for this threat calculation is your dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, or dACC. Think of it as an error detection machine. It constantly monitors your actions, compares them to your goals, and flags discrepancies. When the discrepancy is large enough, it signals the mPFC to change course, or in extreme cases, to freeze and reevaluate. The problem in the modern world is that the goalposts have moved. Your dACC is still calibrated for a small tribe of 150 people, where a mistake was witnessed by everyone who mattered. Today, a mistake can be witnessed by millions online, or it can be a private internal standard of perfection that is impossible to meet. The error signal never stops. This constant error signal creates a state of chronic, low-grade threat activation. Your insula, another ancient region, monitors your internal body state. When it senses the tension of potential failure, the sweaty palms, the racing heart, the knot in your stomach, it feeds that information back to the prefrontal cortex, creating a loop. You feel anxious, so you know you must be in danger. And because you are in danger, you must avoid the thing causing the feeling. This is the trap. Yale University, in a 2024 paper published in the Journal of Anxiety Disorders, described perfectionism as an evolutionary mismatch. The very traits that might have helped an ancestral human be more careful, more meticulous, more attuned to social feedback are now amplified in a world of infinite possibility and social comparison. You are not broken. You are exquisitely adapted for a world that no longer exists. The neural circuitry is the same. The input has changed. This is why traditional advice like just try harder or don't be a perfectionist is neurologically ineffective. You cannot reason with a survival circuit using logic. You have to rewire it using the same mechanisms that built it: experience, prediction, and reward. So if the problem is evolutionary programming, what is the solution? It is not to eliminate the fear. That would be like trying to delete your pain receptors. The solution is to update the prediction model. The mPFC and ACC are not just threat detectors, they are also prediction engines. They are constantly learning from experience. And the most powerful way to teach them a new lesson is through what researchers call prediction error. This is when reality contradicts your brain's expectation. If your brain predicts that submitting a project will lead to social catastrophe, and instead nothing bad happens, or you even receive positive feedback, that is a prediction error. Your brain must now update its model. This is the basis of exposure therapy, but for Atychiphobia, the exposure is not to a spider or a crowd, it is to the act of failing itself, or more accurately, to the anticipation of failure without the disastrous consequence. You might be tempted to choose A. It feels safer. But option B is the one supported by neuroscience. A 2025 study in biological psychiatry using fMRI tracked participants undergoing a 21-day protocol where they deliberately engaged in small, low-stakes failures. They sent an email with a typo. They asked a question in a meeting they were unsure of. They submitted work they knew was imperfect. The results showed a significant decrease in mPFC amygdala connectivity when anticipating failure, and a corresponding increase in prefrontal regulatory control. Their brains learned that failure was not synonymous with exile. This brings us to the challenge embedded in this video. Later in this analysis, I want to propose something that seems counterintuitive: a 7-day protocol to fail deliberately. Not to fail big, but to create small moments of predictable error that send a clear signal to your medial prefrontal cortex: we survived. We were not exiled. We are safe. On days 1 and 2, Choose a very low-risk task. Post on social media without reviewing it 5 times. Send a text message with a minor typo and leave it uncorrected. On days 3 and 4, raise the stakes slightly. Submit a piece of work knowing it is not perfect, but knowing it is sufficient. Observe yourself as you wait for feedback. Notice the anxiety. And then notice how it passes and the world does not end. On days 5 through 7, actively seek a situation where you can make a manageable public mistake. Answer a question in a meeting without being 100% sure. Admit you don't know something. Your brain needs this data. It needs to update the old program. This is not about glorifying failure. It is about recalibrating your threat response system to match the actual risks of your environment. The 2026 Nature Neuroscience meta-analysis, which looked at over 1,200 participants with specific phobias, including Atychiphobia, concluded that the most effective interventions are those that combine cognitive reappraisal with behavioral experiments that create prediction error. You have to think and do. You have to understand the circuit intellectually, which we are doing now, and then you have to show the circuit, through experience, that its ancient map is outdated. Think about the people in your life who seem fearless. They are not. They simply have a prefrontal cortex that has been updated with enough data points of failure without catastrophe that the threat signal has weakened. They have learned that a failure is an event, not an identity. It is data, not a death sentence. This is the freedom that comes from understanding the anatomy of your fear. It is not freedom from fear. It is freedom from being controlled by a circuit that is trying to protect you from a world that no longer exists. As we move toward the end, look at the 3 people on your screen. One who has this fear, one who doesn't understand it, one who thinks they are broken because of it. The knowledge you have gained is not meant to be kept, it is meant to be shared. In our next episode, we will apply this evolutionary understanding to a specific protocol for social anxiety, building on the foundations we have laid here. We will look at the neural dance between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala in real time. But for now, understand this. Your fear of failure is not a flaw, it is a fossil, a relic of a time when the stakes were life and death. Recognizing it as such is the first step. The next step is to show your brain, gently and consistently, that the saber-toothed tiger is gone. This has been Anatomy of Fear.